are watching the American on ESPN. This afternoon, we come to you from the campus of East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina, where the Pirates will face their toughest test by far this year, taking on #1 and unbeaten South Carolina. The Gamecocks, 4 of their 11 wins have come against ranked teams, more than any other team in the country. And they have made the 4-hour bus trip here to take on the Pirates. And we welcome you to East Carolina. Pam Ward, along with Women's Basketball Hall of Famer Deb Antonelli. All right, South Carolina lost only 1 game all year. It was in the national semifinals, lost all their starters, and they haven't skipped a beat.
No, they haven't. They won 36 games last year. This team is talented. They're deep. They're connected, and they're playing at an elite level this time of the year on both ends of the floor. They're really fun to watch.
Yeah, and that's the key. It's offense and defense for them.
It's a great combination for Dawn Staley. Last year, you could put 10 feet in the paint and not guard them on the perimeter. This year, it's different. They're a D and 3 team. On the defensive end, they lead the nation in block shots. That's not new. They did that last year. They also are #2 in field goal percentage defense. On the offensive end, this is why they're different. 42% outside the three-point line is 3rd in the nation. They've got multiple three-point threats. It spreads the floor. It makes their interior game better. It makes their team better and more complete.
And that's the big difference, the three-point shooting. And Dawn Staley told us before the game she's kind of surprised herself that they are this far advanced with this relatively new group. On the other side, East Carolina very much fueled by Danae McNeil.
Danae McNeil is one of the top scorers in the American Conference. She is just shy of 20 points. She was the Defensive Player of the Year last year in this league. She is 5th in the nation in steals at 3.9 steals a game. She plays on the weak side of the matchup zone. She's long and athletic. She anticipates well, and she told me before the game her decision-making was going to be the key in this one for her team.
And she was honored before the game for scoring her 1,000th career point in their last game against Charleston Southern. And we are underway. South Carolina in the darker uniforms. Chloe Kitts gets it out to Pow Pow, who has been just, you think, the best transfer get this year.
I think the best transfer out of the portal, no question. And look at Cardoso, goes right to a counter against the man-to-man defense of East Carolina. Even though they play a lot of matchup, Pam, we were told they were going to play some man today.
Yes, Cardoso is so hard. As you take a look at the starting 5 for East Carolina, Sania Johnson, unfortunately not available for the rest of the year after she fractured her fibula in their last game. So, my Joyner in the starting lineup. Shot clock is dwindling for the Pirates. Joyner got it right at the buzzer.
Well, you're going to have those kind of shots go down if you're going to upset the #1 team in the country. Joyner, the lefty.
Sophomore from Farmville, North Carolina. Not far from Greenville as you take a look at what has become a familiar starting 5. Pow Pow, the impact transfer from Oregon. Kitts tried to force it inside. East Carolina relies a lot on their transition offense. There's McNeil, puts up the floater, nothing doing, and nobody rebounds the basketball as well as South Carolina.
No, and you have to make a decision whether you go to the glass or you get back in transition. And because of this right here, you got to get back in transition. That is Te-Hina Pow Pow, one of the best three-point shooters in the country, Pam. She leads the South Carolina team at 53% outside the arc. Making
about 3 per game on average. And believe it or not, at 53%, that's just 4th best in the nation, but still darn good.
And that's why you give up offensive rebounding, because you'd rather get back and set your defense and be able to contest that, not give them a transition 3.
That was telegraphed. Pow Pow has Kitts to her right. Found her with a beautiful bounce pass, and East Carolina bench wants a travel call, but instead it's a foul.
Yeah, watch this play right here. Anticipation by Pow Pow up the line and then drops it off. Yeah, that's a travel. And that's when the players beat the officials down the floor on a live ball turnover. That's trouble.
Instead, Tatiana White called for her first, and now Kitts heads to the free throw line. Gets there most often for this team, and Chloe Kitts came on the scene last year, arrived in South Carolina the spring of February of 22. Averaged 1.5 points per game last year, 10 points per game more now as a starter.
Well, she's added 15 pounds of muscle. She's in great shape. You got to give Molly Benetti, who Dawn Staley credits with the conditioning of her team, for being in really good shape, for helping Chloe Kitts in the offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach Staley said when they showed up in June, many of them had a lot of work to do as far as conditioning. They got it done. Bree Hall induces the whistle. The officials look at each other and decide that it is a foul against Talia Weish. So each of the twins has a foul for the Pirates.
So watch this. Danae McNeil anticipates up the line, and you see good call by the officials. That is definitely a block. The defender had not established legal guarding position.
Dawn Staley in her 16th year in charge at South Carolina, a couple of national championships, was the Olympic coach as well, getting gold. Shot clock now at 6. Pow between the legs, puts it up. Good block out by Cardoso to fight to get the basketball. They're letting them play so far. And here comes Micah Dennis, graduate guard from Toronto, wants to get into broadcasting. Has done some of that already.
South Carolina switching on that ball screen action. They'll mix it up some. Cardoso is always in drop coverage in the middle part of the floor.
And that's an imposing figure, isn't it? At 6'7". Came out to contest the shot by Talia Weish, which was off. Pow has missed 2 in a row. Alert the media. She usually doesn't do that.
She's been really good. I do think she's the best transfer out of the portal this season. She's a high-level guard with elite-level thinking. She defends the way Dawn Staley needs her to defend, but most importantly, she can manage the team along with Raven Johnson.
As Dawn Staley said that she's never had a player like Pow, which is unbelievable considering the talent she's had come through there. There's Joyner.
And Joyner's got to be able to stick those shots away from the bucket, because that will pull her defender, which most of the times is Cardoso, away from the hoop.
She has all 4 of East Carolina's points. Just 4 points so far for South Carolina. And another whistle as Cardoso gets the ball underneath. That's 2 on Te-Hina Weish. And we anticipate that she will leave. A couple of subs coming in now for Dawn Staley as well.
Wow, that's a tough one again. You know, South Carolina's so good at setting that little short corner screen for their post players. It's something that you got to scout, and you got to have good pressure on the ball, otherwise the vision to the rim is too easy.
Fulwiley in the game now. Raven Johnson among those on the court. Ashlyn Watkins taking it. And that's a foul against South Carolina.
So right away, one of the things that you have to do with Cardoso is not allow her to establish good position inside, because at 6'7", you can't guard her with 2 feet in the paint. And then watch right here, there's a foul called on Cardoso for going over the back. So you got to be physical with her, Pam, and you see the leverage that East Carolina is using. And
that was the game plan for head coach Kim McNeil, to try to put pressure on the ball, but somebody's got to find Micah Joyner.
She goes to her offhand and scores over her left shoulder.
Cardoso got the ball deep this time. They are making her work, though, for everything.
You have to make Cardoso make a post move. You cannot let her catch a lob or score on a layup. Oh, and Dennis goes down with a knee.
Oh, no, Micah Dennis holding her right knee.
Yeah, this is concerning. She did not, it was a non-contact injury. Dawn Staley's even out on the court to check on her as well.
We will take a timeout. South Carolina and East Carolina tied up. All eyes now on Micah Dennis. Welcome back to Greenville, North Carolina. Just minutes ago, Micah Dennis, her senior guard from Toronto, non-contact injury, hit the deck and was helped off the court, and this is how it happened.
And she goes down immediately. Got that, looks like it's her knee got twisted, and she was in a lot of pain. The place went silent. They're already down another starter.
That's Te-Hina Johnson, who, like Dennis, is one of their 3 captains, most outstanding player of the American tournament, which they won last year. The senior from Waldorf fractured her fibula down near her ankle in their last game. So they're down 2, as you mentioned.
So, I mean, for Te-Hina, she's going to be out for the season, right? You know, football, college football has a rule where you can play in 4 games and not lose your year of eligibility. Why doesn't basketball have a rule where you can play in the non-conference before you play conference play, and if you get hurt, not lose your eligibility? Well, I'd like to see that rule. Yeah, can you start petitioning for that, Pam?
No, they always listen to me.
Yeah, they do.
Dennis has played 10 games, which is about a third of their schedule for East Carolina, and if we have an update on Micah, we will certainly get it to you. Pam Ward and Deb Antonelli joining you. It's 6-6, your eyes do not deceive you, and Kim McNeil, the head coach for East Carolina, said her first point to the team, let's keep it close in the first quarter, and so far so good.
Yeah, I mean, Amaya Joyner has done all the scoring, and she's hit a couple of face-up jumpers at the elbow. She scored on the block. Now she's earning a trip to the free throw line.
Here's a good look at Coach McNeil. In her 5th year, was the American Conference Coach of the Year last season when they won the tournament to get back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2007.
Coming off the timeout, Dawn Staley goes to that high-low look. I love the ATOs that coaches come up with after timeouts, and it's a good dead ball opportunity to run some situational offense where you get a basket where you want it to come from.
And look at that staff. Jolette Law, Lisa Boyer, Deja Sessions now.
Oh yeah, she's a good one.
Winston Gandy, Mary Woolley. Also, you mentioned Molly Benetti, the very good athletic trainer. But it's just 6-6 for this South Carolina team that averages 93 points per game, 5th best in the nation. East Carolina known for its defense. My goodness, that's 3 now on Talia Weish. And the Pirate fans are angry.
Well, the post game of South Carolina puts a lot of pressure on your back row. You have to have better ball pressure, hands high on the catch, not let that vision come in, and help your post players a little bit, because they are letting them play a little physical in there, and that's a good thing for East Carolina. I thought it was, because they don't have the same depth, so it needs to be a little more physical for them.
So White heads to the bench with 3 fouls. Watkins misses the free throw. Kimora Jenkins, a 6'1" junior guard from Long Island, has subbed in. And she's played in all 10 games, but is averaging less than a point per game, so she's not gotten a lot of action, and now she's thrown in here against the #1 team in the nation. Watkins gets 1 of 2 to give South Carolina the lead.
There's that hedge on the wing. Good tag and recovery by South Carolina's defense. They're really good at 3 levels. Ball pressure, rotation, and protecting the rim.
And now Micah Dennis, who is the point guard, is out, so the offense is bound to look a little disjointed. There's a miss for Joyner. Inside, nice look. Watkins hangs with it.
She might be the quickest off her feet that South Carolina has in rebounding. Right?
Like a volleyball player.
Yeah, like she gets off her feet quickly. She misses it, but gets her own rebound off her feet quickly.
Shot off the mark, and then a block by Watkins, who is 8th in the nation in that department. Kamilla Cardoso, 3rd in the country against, as far as that's concerned, and no team blocks more shots in the country than South Carolina.
Well, besides her shot blocking ability, what I love about her game defensively is her versatility and how she can guard their ball screen action on the perimeter. Brings great length, allows Dawn Staley to mix it up. I think she's the best post perimeter defender they've ever had.
Wow, that's saying something.
Yeah, it's going back to Alicia Welsh days. Lily Grissett. I mean, there's some good ones.
Watkins is a hometown kid. 6'3" sophomore from Columbia, South Carolina.
I like to say that Watkins and Fulwiley terrorized the state of South Carolina in girls basketball for years. I've watched them both for many years. Here's the matchup zone.
Coach McNeil didn't want to use it a whole lot, but a good switch to it. And again, East Carolina thought that was a travel. Instead, the bucket good for Fagan.
The patience and poise, though. I mean, I like the switch by Kim McNeil going back to the matchup. You got some foul trouble. That's your bread and butter defense. It's your base defense, I should say.
Oh, that's targeted.
That could have been a dunk right there, Pam.
Outside shot off the backboard, but a good follow try that just wouldn't go down for Mosley. All the way around. Shot doesn't go down. For Johnson, one of the freshmen on this team for South Carolina. East Carolina, by the way, has not scored since Micah Dennis went out with an injury.
Well, only one player has scored for them, and that is Joyner. You got to get better balance.
Shot clock again into single digits. McNeil, that's a nifty move. Offensive board, count it! That stops a 7-0 Gamecock run.
This is a weight room bucket. Watch the strength right here by Mosley. There's your points per game, Pam.
And she flexes for you. Show those muscles a little bit. Morgan, a senior from Centerville, Maryland. Her mom was a very good track star at the University of Virginia, which was one of the stops for Kim McNeil on her way to getting this head coaching job.
Well, you got to shoot free throws better also. Is that 0 for 3 at the free throw line?
It is indeed. South Carolina just 31% from the floor in this first quarter.
Well, great job by Joyner defensively. She's done a little bit of everything in this first quarter.
Now South Carolina off to the races. Johnson behind everybody, but it's taken and missed. And then the follow attempt by Kitts brings about a foul on the Pirates.
When Fulwiley gets in the open floor, you can almost feel the air come out of the room because everybody goes, oh, here it comes, right? And she just misses this layup, but Chloe Kitts does a great job of following up behind. That's why in transition, you got to keep them in front. You see how good of a job East Carolina has done when they've set their defense. South Carolina has been able to score in transition.
Triple header for you next Sunday afternoon, January 7th at 1 Eastern, South Carolina, Mississippi State. Then it's LSU Ole Miss, and then cap the evening at 5 Eastern time on ESPN2, North Carolina and Notre Dame from South Bend.
I'm looking forward to the LSU Ole Miss game. I'll be down in Oxford for that, hitting the square, down there hanging out, watching Yolette McEwen put her team together defensively for an LSU matchup.
There are some things to do down there in Oxford. Kitts gets the rebound. Four seconds difference between the clocks. Kitts. And that's a tie-up. The possession arrow gives it to East Carolina.
Morgan Mosley making another play. Or excuse me, that's Kai Miller.
Down Staley. Their team scoring just 13 points, but giving up only 8 to East Carolina, just 2 in the last 4.5 minutes.
And South Carolina averages 92.5 points a game, which is 5th in the nation.
So let's see if the Pirates can get a bucket. Contact and an offensive foul.
I would call that a late whistle. And the fans are starting to get involved here, aren't they?
They're getting a little salty. Second on McNeil.
Did she extend? Did she lower her shoulder?
I don't know.
Official thought so.
And then another foul in the backcourt by Kaya Miller, freshman out of Woodbridge, Virginia. Top 100 recruit for Coach McNeil. His husband Corey is her associate head coach. And their adorable twins are in the building as well.
You know, Kim is a worker, and she has completely changed the culture here. When the athletic director, John Gilbert, was looking for a good coach, he found one in Kim McNeil. I mean, and she works. She's got great character. Her kids work hard. And she's, in 5 years, she's built something here. Now, they're picked to finish second in this league behind Jose Fernandez and USF. They're always picked to win the league since UConn got out. And last year, she was Coach of the Year in this league, and it's a really good league with really good coaches.
Came here after a stint at the University of Hartford. 4.3 seconds left. 8 fouls committed by East Carolina in that first quarter, as many as they had points. And a very low scoring first quarter, particularly for South Carolina, who averaged 24 points usually in the first quarter. But East Carolina hanging in there in large part because of My Joyner, but they are down 6 after 1. Welcome back to East Carolina. You're taking a look at the 4 wins for South Carolina over ranked teams. And Utah and North Carolina certainly played them tough. And we talked about their potent offense. We've not seen it so far in the first quarter.
We have not. They've only made 4 baskets. They have missed 11 shots, but they've offensive rebounded 5 of them. So that's a good offensive rebounding percentage for Dawn Staley. But I think they got to move the ball. One of the things she told us before the game is they've shared the ball well this season. They've moved it, and I don't think they've moved it very well in the first quarter. And I will give credit to East Carolina for some of that, because they have pushed South Carolina out of their offensive rhythm early in this game.
Just 10 points against North Carolina in the first quarter. This is the second fewest points, therefore, that South Carolina has scored in a game this season. Kits, some contact, nothing called that time.
Yeah, that's a good no call, and that's a good play out of the timeout. You got to make that basket.
And more to Deb Antonelli joining you this afternoon from Greenville, North Carolina. East Carolina missed 10 of its last 11 shots to end what had been a close game in the first quarter. That floater is off the mark. They did lose their point guard, Micah Dennis, halfway through the first quarter, and since then their offense really struggled.
Well, and Danae McNeil, who scores just shy of 20 points a game, is 0 for 7. See, I don't think that's the right shot. And here's a breakaway. Shot selection for South Carolina has not been great in this start of this first half.
Joyner with 8 of their 10 points. Cardoso, when she grabs it there, it's impossible. Yes. That is her first points of the game, averaging a double-double this season. Pardon me.
The weapon Dawn has at her disposal that no one else has, except for a couple of teams, you know, that have that kind of size. Stanford, UCLA.
Joyner with the miss. Fulwiley, chancy pass, and then contact in the back court.
The one thing that we talked to Dawn Staley about in the locker room before the game was, you know, one area that she wanted her team to get better at. And she said decision making. And we see why. You know, she said, come to practice, you'd see that we do have some flaws. And, you know, they're working through it right here. And that's good film for them to break down, because they are throwing the ball around and their shot selection hasn't been good. So they're not playing with the fluidity, was the word she used.
that is the one thing that you mentioned that she wants to see get better. She said particularly with her post, making better decisions in the half court. Quicker decisions. That's a heads-up play by Joyner. Joyner 4 of 6 from the floor. The rest of her team 1 of 14.
See, I know South Carolina's mentality defensively is they're going to ramp it up and they're going to be overplaying and aggressive. So you got to look to ball fake. If you ball fake that pass, they're going to bite. If you go back door, they're going to jump.
That was a good effort by McNeil to get an open shot, but she missed it, so she's still being shut out. Powell gets it over to Kitts, who passed up the shot, drove in, higher degree of difficulty, and it rimmed out. That's a lot of contact.
What a play by Cardoso. Look how hard she runs the floor.
She's already down, posting up after the good defensive play. My Joyner is 6'2" and trying to guard her down low. Robbie Smith with the rebound. Coach McNeil using a lot of her bench as well this afternoon. They're not getting a lot of second chances. Neither team shooting the ball well. South Carolina at 25%, East at 22%. But
the uglier, the grittier, the grimier, all of that, the stink is better for ECU.
Powell with her second 3 of the game. A timeout by the Pirates.
East Carolina hanging in. It's a 3-possession game with 7 minutes to play in the second quarter, right where they want it.
Thank you, Zubin and Rebecca. And yeah, we want to send out all the love and good feelings to Rory Harmon, who tore her ACL. Huge game today. Texas and Baylor both unbeaten. No Rory Harmon, not only a great player, but a great kid.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Rory in October when I was in Austin for a couple of days with their team. And what a class individual with incredible swag, and what a great leader. And you know, I think she was playing as the best two-way point guard in the country right now.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking. So,
however, Vic Schaefer will figure it out.
Yeah, Vic has ways. That'll be one of many interesting games today. And there is a much-needed bucket. They had gone over 2 minutes without scoring before McNeil got her first basket.
Yeah, after going 0 for 8, she finally scores. It's a good job by Kim McNeil to get her going. They got to have her offense.
No relation, by the way, between the McNeils. Powell. Are you kidding me?
Come on. 3 triples in the first half. She's so good, and she relocates on the perimeter off their post play so well.
She's 3 of 4 from long range, shooting well over 50% from distance. The transfer from Oregon, who Coach Staley said that she had actually offered pretty early on, kid out of California.
Oh, good cut.
Not a good result. Cardoso gets yet another rebound.
You got to get on Powell right now.
Watkins somehow turned around and got the bucket.
That's called athleticism. That's knowing where you are when you catch the ball. Nice feed by Powell.
Coach Staley said she's finding her identity and just loves her versatility. And as you mentioned, boy, the athleticism is off the charts. Doubled up the lead. McNeil challenging Watkins. Ball stays with the Pirates.
See, McNeil's got to go in there to score, not worry about the contact. Yes, there's going to be contact. She looks at the bench and looks at Coach Kim McNeil and goes, my bad. They isolate you on the elbow. You got to score that basket. And Joyner continues to do work inside. She's been impressive in the first half. 4 for 7 from the floor, 8 of their 12 points.
Inbounding now with 20 seconds left on the shot clock. Another turnover. And South Carolina getting it quickly down the floor. Pow with the chancy bounce pass that didn't work. Watkins gets up. Thought she had a clean block, but instead is called for the foul.
I mean, this is one-on-one in the open floor. McNeil knows the shot blocker's lurking. Wow, it's hard to tell from that angle. Maybe she did come across the side of her head. But you know what? East Carolina fan keeps getting to the line, can't make free throws.
That's right, that's been a major problem. McNeil at the free throw line right now. They are now 1 for 5 as a team from the line. Every point obviously precious, especially when you take on a club like South Carolina.
And the thing is there's no let up. Like Dawn Staley brings another, and then another, and another.
5 minutes to go, pardon me, in the second.
No, I mean, they can play any speed. They just haven't played clean. And you got to give East Carolina some credit for that.
Pow getting it underneath, and that was a shove in the back by Mosley, trying to guard Cardoso, who is on paper 8 inches taller than her.
And just so our viewers know, when we did go to break in the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, the East Carolina bench was given a warning by the officials, so they have been warned about their behavior. So they're not saying much over there right now.
Johnson draws another foul. Coach McNeil continues to say stuff. Fulwiley, Spurlock, Welch, Carla Fountain, John Capolino, our officials today.
Wow, that's vertical to me.
Robbie Smith called for the foul, and Raven Johnson heads to the free throw line, where she's now 5 of 10 from there. ESPN 2 men's college basketball doubleheader starts at 2 Eastern with Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, then Wichita State, Kansas. Catch it all today. Wichita State and Kansas, nice in-state battle. Meanwhile, another foul has been called against the Pirates. South Carolina just 5 of 10 from the line.
That would be 11 personal fouls on East Carolina, 5 on South Carolina for the game.
Golly, that's 3 now on Danae McNeil. Talia Weish already has 3. She sat down in the first quarter.
But you got to give it to Kim McNeil and her preparation for the last 2 days since they came back from eating Christmas cookies. She said they were sharp and locked in. And they have followed the scout very well between man and zone to have this game where it is right now in the second quarter.
Kagan 1 out of 2 on her trip. A little bit of pressure from Raven Johnson.
Without your natural point guard out there, it's a good plan to full court press with man-to-man coverage by Raven Johnson, who's one of your best on-ball defenders.
Yeah, Bobby Smith handling the ball, and now Tatiana Weish has it. And a whistle away from the action. Fagan hit the deck, and an offensive foul called against East Carolina. And Joyner, got to be careful. She went right over to John Capolino to complain.
Kim McNeil is on the floor. She's already been warned. They're going to give her a professional courtesy and push her back right now, but that should have been probably a technical foul.
Probably Coach McNeil would have totally understood that. That was the foul on Joyner.
I'm almost thinking she wanted one.
Right. Oh, wow. Impossible. That height advantage. Cardoso's going to go back to the line.
I mean, that's why you got to have high hands, take vision away. There's nothing you can do right there. I mean, when you front, if you choose to front, which you really don't want to, because you want to make her make a post play, not catch it on a lob for a layup.
Second foul on Mosley. Cardoso's first trip to the line today.
And she's got great hands, though, good footwork. I think as the season goes on, you'll see Dawn Staley move her away from the bucket in a little bit more ball screening action. Pull her away so she can score around the elbows. I think she's a good distributor from up there as well. I think it'll add versatility to her game.
Already a 2-time National Player of the Week. U.S. women's basketball writers in the hunt for National Player of the Year. Caitlin Clark up there, won it last year.
Caitlin Clark's the front runner this year.
Another block, this time by Fagan.
That's why they don't help off the strong corner, why they don't pinch from the wing, because they have this shot blocking ability and rim protection. That is incredible how many players they have that can make a play at the rim.
Already altered and or blocked 5 shots in the paint just in the second quarter. And another whistle. Bree Hall called for her first for Carolina. Pardon me, South Carolina. We had two Carolinas today. Fulwiley, who is so quick, so skilled. That move she made against Notre Dame on opening day will live in history, and she can do that too.
That's a good decision. To push in transition, get it to Raven, and then get your feet set outside the three-point line. Nice play by the freshman.
Welcome back, three-point shooting. Pow Pow known for it.
Well, she's only dropped 3 on the East Carolina Pirates, 1 in transition and 2 off of interior passing to the relocation on the perimeter. So she can hurt you in multiple ways outside the arc. And then Malaysia Fulwiley does a great job of relocating herself, getting her feet under her shoulders outside the three-point line.
Pow Pow has 3 with 4 threes for South Carolina, and this is staggering, right?
Oh my gosh, it's eye-popping, right? You know that last year, this was part of the issue. You could guard South Carolina with 10 feet in the paint. You didn't have to help. You collapsed on Aaliyah Boston. This year, you can't do that. You got to get out and cover their three-point shooters, and it changes the spacing. And Cardoso catches it so deep that you can't bring a double. She's quick to make her move or her decision.
Yeah, the offense is scary inside and out this year for South Carolina, and Coach Staley gives a lot of credit to the players who waited their turn. All 5 starters, Boston, and they lost Saxton, Rebuild, Zia Cook, Kiera Fletcher, Amihir. They lost a lot from last year.
And they won 36 games, and as you said at the beginning, they only lost in the Final Four to Iowa. And a lot of people look at this year's team and they think, wow, they look better. And I think part of that reason is because they're so much better on the offensive end. They can do more things offensively that they couldn't do last year.
And shooting the threes we saw in that graphic is one of them.
Exactly. And, you know, I'll say this for Dawn Staley. I give her a lot of credit for staying loyal to the group that helped her build what she had. You know, they had some players that sat on the bench last year that may have had a different skill set than the players she played the majority of the time. And the players that didn't play a lot last year that are getting minutes this year are getting their opportunity, and they worked and they stuck with the process. And they are delivering when their time has been given to them because they've earned it. And last year's players, you had to stay loyal to some of them. There are clearly some better shooters on the team last year that didn't play. It might have made a difference, we don't know, but I give credit to Dawn for staying loyal. Plus, you won 36 games, why would you change?
Yeah, they were 36-0 going into the Final Four, and that was a sweet pass from Cardoso into Fagan. Kamilla is averaging over 2 assists per game. Fagan with back-to-back buckets. They're starting to run away with this. This game was tied up at 6 apiece when starting point guard Micah Dennis went out with an apparent knee injury midway through the first quarter. South Carolina's made 6 straight shots, and they are on a huge run.
So while it didn't look pretty at the beginning, there is a wear-down effect. Already East Carolina, as you mentioned, down 2 starters. And South Carolina is deep and talented, and they bring another and another and another. And when they come on the floor, they don't drop any intensity.
They certainly can wear you down. They also have a couple of players in McNeil and Talia Weish in foul trouble. So East Carolina much deeper into their bench. South Carolina And here you see the 4 players averaging in double figures, and then 3 others are right on the cusp, averaging 9 points per game or more.
It's the only team in the country with 7 players averaging 9 or more points.
And Pirates break a big-time drought with that bucket by McNeil. Now a foul against Cardoso. Yes, thank you. Her second.
You know, when Cardoso catches it on the block, she's looking to make a move or score. But when she catches it off the block, that's the key to guarding her. You got to keep her from catching it in the paint, because her shot chart is 3 baskets away from the rim, everything else in the paint.
She only has 4 points, 1 of 4 from the field.
I watched all of Cardoso's made baskets on Synergy, 62 coming into the game. And the first 35, 60% of the way she scored was on lobs. The last 27 baskets, 44% have been on lobs, which means her post game is getting better.
And you lob it into 6-7, and there's not a whole lot that you can do about it.
Officials are going to the monitor to check who the foul was on.
It had been called on Cardoso, as we mentioned. Chloe Kitts was also in the general vicinity, but that's it, that's it. The officials have already moved on. So we assume that it stays on Cardoso. Tatiana Weich.
Want to make sure they get the right shooter on the line also.
And that is Tatiana, who heads to the free throw line, along with her twin sister Talia, transferred from the University of Florida, now playing their first year at East Carolina. They've been missing some free throws. We have featured ESPN Plus American Conference events, 350 at least college basketball games, and then you see other conference games exclusively on ESPN Plus. The Women's Championship coverage begins March 9th. Sign up at espnplus.com/AAC. East Carolina picked 2nd behind South Florida this year. March hit 1 out of 2. Her first point of the game. Fulwiley stepping back. Kitts able to get the rebound. And then asked for it back. Fulwiley, second time worked out perfectly.
That's the kind of confident shooter you want to see. And does a good job of exit cutting, getting out to the three-point line, and getting her feet behind the line.
South Carolina 5 of 8 from distance at 63%. Shooting better from 3 than 2 this afternoon. Forced shot by Joyner went in.
How about that for the ECU highlight reel?
Last year's American Conference Freshman of the Year. More players hitting the deck. Great hustle by the Pirates.
Look at Joyner handling it in the open floor. Come on, Joyner. Show off your skill set. Got a 2-for-1 opportunity here. Go high ball screen for McNeil.
There's Joyner. She's been most of the offense. Forced one up right as the shot clock was expiring, hoping to get the foul call. And South Carolina will take a quick timeout. Just over 24 seconds left to go.
Joyner not able to clear any space. That's good D by Chloe Kitts contesting. I think Amaya Joyner is getting ready to set all of Farmville, North Carolina on fire with that move.
Yes, she's got a lot of talent. 13 double-doubles last year was an East Carolina freshman record. Highest ranked ECU recruit ever for the Pirates. So right now, let's see what Dawn Staley has in mind. You get a good look at Amaya Joyner, known as My. Also the reigning American Conference Player of the Week, had a great line against Charleston Southern with another double-double. But she is doing, for the rest of the team, 3 of 23. Not fabulous. Pow gets it over to Johnson as they set things up.
First time we've seen full court pressure. Change it up on that timeout for offensive purposes by Coach Staley.
Walker is in the game now for South Carolina, down low. Johnson off the mark. That shot is not off in time, but South Carolina takes a 37-18 lead into the break. Even though they're only shooting 40% from the floor, a much better second quarter where they outscored the Pirates by 13. Let's go to Zubin and Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. We welcome you back to East Carolina University in Greenville, where South Carolina has doubled up a lead, now 36-18 over the Pirates of East Carolina. #1 team trying to go to 12-0 on the year for the 3rd straight season, but one person that's been doing it for the Pirates is Micah Joyner.
I mean, she scored early and made this a game in the first quarter. Micah Joyner with that lefty jumper from the elbow, and then her low block play, and then this is a transition opportunity. She's got 10 of their 18 first half points. And on the other side, Te-Hina Pow. You know she can bang from the 3-point line. She had 3 triples in the first half, and she does such a great job of picking her spots. She never forces. She catches in rhythm, and one of the things that makes a good shooting team is a good passing team. And when you hit them in the pocket and they're a shooter, they're going to knock it down.
Especially Pow, one of the best 3-point shooters in the country. And there you see the field goal percentage went up for South Carolina in the second quarter, and East Carolina really struggled once they lost their starting point guard, Micah Dennis, midway through the first quarter, with the exception of Joyner. And now Joyner, that's a live shot of Joyner limping over to the bench. We can only hope that it's a cramp. So before the ball even went up, you see her grabbing her left calf. Joyner, who was in that first half 5 of 9 from the floor. The rest of her team missed 20 of 23 shots, just 13% for everybody else. And Kelsey Riley, the athletic trainer, has been way too busy today.
Oh, that's painful. We've all got them before, but hope she can work that out. She has been there scoring. I mean, that's 3 starters now. You're trying to play at home against the #1 team.
Pam Ward, Deb Antonelli joining you this afternoon. From East Carolina, Cardoso just got her 6th rebound of the game. Now Pow bringing it down for South Carolina. The first #1 ranked team to come here since UConn in 2018. Kitts with a nice assist to Cardoso.
Well, for East Carolina, they got to move the ball. They've got to get South Carolina in rotation. They've got to find the matchups that they like off that switching man-to-man defense, and they got to score it better.
Mosley with the miss. Now Raven Johnson bringing it up.
Bree Hall's been patient about her own offensive game today.
Maybe too patient for Dawn Staley's liking. She's only taken 1 shot and has not scored.
I think this is one of Dawn Staley's best high-low combination is Kitts to Cardoso, or Cardoso to Kitts inside. As you mentioned earlier, Kitts gets to the free throw line quite a bit because she can make counters in the post for Dawn Staley. And Lisa Boyer, sitting to Dawn Staley's right, is the post coach. And she works with them every day on those moves. And that's a pretty good staff over there for Dawn Staley. Jolette Law, the other, and Winston Gandy, who came over from Duke last year to replace Fred Chamil.
Who is now the head coach at Bowling Green, where they just went to play.
I think Dawn Staley puts her schedule together with this intent. You know, trying to, of course, she wanted to give Fred a game back at Bowling Green. I'm sure he probably enjoyed it until the ball was tipped.
Yeah, yes.
Then they made their first 10 shots.
Up to a great start in that one. Kitts delivers. I imagine Dawn Staley in the locker room had quite a few things to say about their lack of fluidity on offense.
That was the word she used with us. It wasn't clean, but it doesn't have to be, right? Not for 40 minutes, not right now. It will be when you get in conference play and you move closer to the NCAA tournament.
Kitts getting it up now to Pow Pow. All the way across court. All got hit on the hand. And that's on Danae McNeil. Gosh, that is her 4th. So big time foul trouble for already a shorthanded Pirate team. McNeil, their leading scorer on the season, averaging just under 20 points a game, now has 4 personal fouls. Timeout in Greenville. Welcome back. East Carolina, Coach McNeil had to take an early timeout.
This is what you call an effort timeout. Stop looking at the scoreboard. Don't worry about what the score is. We have to play harder than that. They have built a culture based on character and effort, and no coach wants to coach effort. And if you're coaching effort against the #1 team in the country, then you're going to have a problem. And I'm sure that's what Kim McNeil is laying down right now, because I've known Kim for a long time, and I know what she's all about. And she's done a magnificent job here building character and family. She was bragging about their academic performances and their player development performances to us. She was really proud of what they've done. And today might not be symbolic of it based on playing the #1 team, but they certainly have made a lot of progress.
And that's part of it, is coming out, she said, trying to get better every day. She knew that this would be, to say the least, a very difficult game. How about in the fall? There's a nice shot that goes down for the freshman, Kaya Miller. Their freshman team GPA was 3.63.
That's impressive.
Only 2 players did not have a 3.0 GPA,
Nice.
and there's that combination you talked about.
That is how you beat full court pressure, but I like the change by Coach McNeil. You got to change up the rhythm of the game.
Kitts and Cardoso working so well together as post players.
I'm going to tell you something about Kaya Miller. I got to visit with her before the game. You know why? Because I helped her carry groceries into the locker room. Freshman job. She had a bunch of bags in her hand, and I helped her out.
Yeah, I bet you appreciated that.
It's what freshmen got to do, right? You don't get all the good jobs.
East Carolina, shot clock into single digits. That was a walk. And I want to update Micah Dennis, their starting point guard, leading them in assists, also 10 points a game. Hurt her knee 5 minutes into this game, and we have word now from East Carolina. It is a knee injury, and she will not return today.
It's unfortunate. We'll hope that she'll be okay. But you know what? East Carolina is known for their athletic training and their medicine here. So she'll be getting the best care she can get.
Already playing without Sania Johnson, who broke a bone in her leg in their last game. And Amaya Joyner is riding the bike over there. It appeared that she had a cramp before the ball even went up to start the 3rd quarter. So Leah White with the block. But East Carolina could not convert. Now you see the speed. Johnson, Cardoso tried to keep it in play.
See, that's the decision-making that Dawn Staley's talking about involving Raven Johnson. You can't throw that pass to 6'7", expect her to catch it and stop on a dime.
And Raven Johnson's going to pay for that. She's coming out of the game.
I mean, it's going to be good film for Dawn Staley tomorrow. She is concerned about her team's decision-making. Watch this right here. This is a hard catch for anyone, but 6'7", trying to make a play. First of all, she would have caught it behind the backboard. She couldn't score it.
And Dawn Staley did clap hands with Johnson as she went out, but Fulwiley now is in for the Gamecocks. Kitts, pow, pow. And the second 3 she's missed. Great offensive putback for Hall. Her first points of the game.
I'm not worried about Bree Hall scoring because I think it's there every day. I think she's consistent, but she's so solid about how she delivers.
Fulwiley called for the foul on the other end of the floor. In the last 6 games since North Carolina, Bree Hall came into this one averaging 12 points per game and 60% from the floor.
Yeah, see, and she's patient today. Now watch right here, she makes a good decision also. She doesn't really pinch off the strong corner. Fulwiley's got to keep the ball in front of her. You can't expect help on that if there's a shooter in the 3-point corner.
Karina Gordon, a true freshman out of Allendale Beach, Florida, coming off a career-high 16 points in East Carolina's last win. That was against Charleston Southern 9 days ago. A little bit of pressure after the made free throws. Oh, the fans go crazy. Fulwiley gets it over to Cardoso.
She's just naturally, instinctively good.
Yes.
And I think Dawn Staley doesn't mess with her too much, right? I mean, I was calling the North Carolina game when she played 3 minutes, Fulwiley. And she had made 2 defensive errors in transition. And Coach Staley put her on the bench. And then after that, she has played much better defense.
Yeah, she has been tremendous.
There is no better motivator than the bench.
Yes. Not playing. There's Fulwiley, little step back. Cardoso using 6-7 to get another rebound. We have a timeout here in Greenville with the Gamecocks up big. We are back, and Kamilla Cardoso showing some things.
I mean, dominant, right? Catches with 2 feet at the rim, under the rim, near the rim, in the net, doesn't matter. And she runs. This is the skill that I love the most. Her first 3 steps are dig, dig, dig up the court, and she fills the lane, and she owns the middle of the floor when she runs the court.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see someone at 6'7" run the floor, as you mentioned, like that. And you see she is 1 rebound away from what would be her 6th double-double of the season. And her numbers way up, leading this team in scoring, rebounding. How about 63% from the floor?
I know Rebecca loves to break down the bigs. I love to talk about the guards. But when you look at Cardoso, Lauren Betts at UCLA, you go with Aoka Lee at Kansas State, you go with Sedona Prince at TCU, they're all 6'6", 6'7". I would love to see a breakdown on that because I've watched all 3 of them. All 4 of them. I'd love to get Rebecca's take on that. Maybe that's a good studio thing for her to do one day.
Yeah, we really do have quite a few this year with just multi-skills. And we're seeing the best of Cardoso, especially here in the 3rd quarter. They're outscoring East Carolina by 10 in this quarter.
Well, she's back.
That's good news to have Amaya Jordan back, who could not start the 3rd quarter for what looked like leg cramps. Beautiful. Cardoso was double teamed, got it over to Watkins. This East Carolina team already facing a huge mountain to climb, trying to stay competitive with this South Carolina ball club, but they came in missing Sania Johnson, who broke her leg, fractured a fibula in their last game, and in this game, Micah Dennis went out, their point guard, just 5 minutes in, and Micah back on, there she is, and never a good sign to have a knee brace on, but not just, you know, as a point guard, very, very valuable to this team, and not to have her on the floor has made a difference.
And Danae McNeil with 4 fouls is not on the bench, or not on the game either.
Watkins just picked up her 3rd, by the way, for East Carolina, pardon me.
It's a young, youthful movement on the court right now for ECU.
Watkins, South Carolina, now has 3 fouls. To update my update. Nice. Everything's hard.
Yeah, nothing comes easy against South Carolina. They contest, challenge.
Watkins gets the rebound. Tessa Johnson, number 5, one of their freshmen. Wide open look, buried.
And that's how they score in transition. It's Cardoso who sprints to the baseline, who stretches the defense, and when you play through her, it opens up the top of the floor. It's a great relocation by Bree Hall.
Hall only took 1 shot in the first half, was scoreless, has 5 points here in this quarter, including that 3 we just saw. And now some contact. And foul coming.
This is how you score in transition. You push off the rebound, you stretch the D, you create matchup issues, and that's why transition defense is so important. Nobody picks up Bree Hall. The ball flattens out the defense to the baseline, which means everybody seeks the level of the ball, and the top of the floor is open. It's beautiful.
Robbie Smith called for her second foul, and you see Joyner kind of pounding on that right calf of hers. Some treatment on it, and was riding the bike for a while, but you figure it's got to be tightening up. And she had a terrific first half with 10 of their 18, of East Carolina's 18 points. Double checking to make sure that the foul calls are straightened out. A little sip of beverage for Dawn, who no doubt Jolette Law just said something funny.
Usually she does. Former Harlem Globetrotter, Jolette Law.
For the legendary Vivian Stringer at Iowa.
Who is being honored next week by the Naismith Trophy Most Outstanding Contributor to Basketball, Coach C. Vivian Stringer. It's an incredible honor for her to receive, and that will be presented to her January 5th at the Iowa game at Rutgers, which will be a really sweet presentation for Coach Stringer.
Yeah, that's great. A couple of places where she applied her trade. Fulwiley picked up the foul.
Of course, Dawn Staley's the only person to win the Naismith Trophy as a player and a coach.
She was great at Virginia. How, you know, football's still going on. Capital One Orange Bowl, Georgia, Florida State. And tonight, the Lions, the Detroit Lions are really good, taking on the Cowboys. New Year's Day, college football semis. ESPN, ESPN Deportes, ESPN Plus, ESPN everything coming up. Interrupting our college basketball season. Alabama, Michigan, and Texas, Washington playing in the 2 football semifinals.
Well, who do you like?
Well, Michigan's got to win, right? Because Alabama shouldn't have even gotten in.
Well, I'm going with Alabama in that one, and I like Washington, even though Texas is pretty good. I like Washington.
Okay, you're going to go for a Washington-Bama final.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with.
More free throws.
You know, we asked Kim McNeil how this game came together, because it's interesting that East Carolina would take on South Carolina in this matchup. And she said she and Dawn have been friends for a long time. Of course, they have the Virginia connection. Dawn, the player, the great player at Virginia. Kim coached there with Joanne Boyle as an assistant with her husband, Corey. She said that she was a camper. Kim was a camper at Debbie Ryan's camps when Dawn Staley was a camp counselor. And she's always admired Dawn, even had a similar hairstyle. You know, the hairstyle that was, you know, one side was half, the other side was longer. Everybody knows the hairstyle I'm talking about, Dawn Staley in the 90s.
That's dedication.
She wore her hairstyle.
That's fandom right there.
That's right.
Talia White getting the basket. Fulwiley well off the mark.
And Dawn Staley's looking at her like, what was that? And what was that?
Yes, it was a big, big miss. Nice one-handed rebound by Joyner, then the wraparound pass. I've seen a lot of players on the floor. Here's East Carolina down by 31 and still hustling after all the loose balls. South Carolina hangs on to it. Bree Hall comes out.
I'm watching Fulwiley here, and she's, you know, when you're on this stage and You have all eyes on you when you come on the floor. Expectations rise, right, for the young freshman. Her teammates giving her a hard time over there on the bench. She's going to hear about that one.
24 in South Carolina. For South Carolina freshman Sanaya Jaw in the game now. Watkins just took a half a second to collect herself. Second time worked out. Watkins now with 8 points. Cardoso leading everyone with 12. Why not? Mike's thought about it, put it up, and Watkins gets another rebound. East Carolina's missed 9 of its last 10 shots. Fulwiley with style.
That might make up for it, because Dawn's now got a smile on her face.
The freshman with the shot, and now the 3 on the other end. That was Gordon, a freshman for East Carolina. More bodies on the floor, another tie-up, possession arrow towards the Pirates.
I love the patience of Coach Staley when it comes to Fulwiley. You know, she shoots this incredible brick, then she makes this miraculous play. Then she comes down and makes a tough decision, right? Watch this flip off the glass. Shows a look to the post, flips it off glass high. She's done that a million times playing against the guys. This is how you get your shot off against the boys. Throw it up there high off the rim, off the glass.
Yeah, you're right, that fantastic look over to Fagan. And then she finished, and then, you know, just ran up the court like it was nothing. Just another shot. She's special.
She's hoping we're gonna forget the one before that.
Yes, that's the way to do it. Malaysia Fulwiley, a freshman out of Columbia, South Carolina. Another foul, this one on Watkins. That is her 4th for South Carolina. Talia Weish goes to the free throw line. With her sister Te-Hina, they are one of 10 sets of twins who are teammates in women's basketball.
It's kind of cool to play with your sister,
Yeah.
I would think.
10 Division I twins, and there you see them in all of women's basketball, not necessarily teammates. We're getting one of the Cavenders back.
Yes, we are. TCU is an up-and-coming program in the Big 12. Watch out for Mark Campbell's team.
All right, Haley's coming back.
Haley Cavender.
Hannah deciding to move on.
Strictly economics.
Yes. Yeah, we had a great year for Miami. Katie Meyer's team getting all the way to the Elite 8 last season. Exciting. And now Cavender going to TCU, and you're right, they certainly are up and coming.
Undefeated.
That's up and coming. That's up in there right now, so far anyway. Speaking of undefeated, USC later today.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I had Charisma Osborne on my podcast this week, Nothing But Net, and she talked about playing against Juju Watkins. They've never guarded each other. They've never played. It should be fun.
So South Carolina outscored East by 13 in that quarter. Dawn Staley's team rolling up 60-29 after 3.
For a double. Wow, Fulwiley, my goodness, a show-stopping highlight. The Eiffel Tower is shaking.
I mean, this is just spectacular. The quickness, oh my.
A lot of reaction, and rightfully so. That was the first game of the year in Paris against Notre Dame, and we have seen Malaysia Fulwiley, not quite as flashy, but another nice play today after she threw up a shot that was awful.
I mean, she shot up this horrible shot. Look, boom, other side of the backboard. It wasn't even close. And then she comes back and does almost the identical move.
Yeah, that That one in Paris had everything. Fancy dribble, the look away, and then the fantastic finish. And right now, South Carolina up 60-29. Pam Ward and Deb Antonelli joining you from Greenville, North Carolina. In the first quarter, South Carolina shot just 27%. Since then, a blistering 57% to take this commanding lead.
But here's the area that I think they have the most need for improvement is the free throw line, because right now they're shooting 64.5% from the line as a team. Okay, they got to shoot it much better than that. I went back and looked at what they did in their 22 championship. They shot 67.6, and in 2017 they shot 72%. So they've shot it bad at the free throw line and still won a title. That's the point, but they got to shoot it better.
Just 63% from the line in this game.
That's not good enough when you move into conference play.
And they will do that. They open up with Florida on January the 4th. Their first SEC game, the premier game on their schedule in conference, January 25th at LSU. A lot of contact. And it's going to be on Talia Weish. She got there too late. That's 4 on Talia. Now we have a chance to see more free throws.
And remember, the restricted area doesn't count.
Not in women's basketball this year.
That line on the floor for women's games doesn't matter. The cylinder right under the basket is where the restricted area is now.
Now Fagan at the free throw line. She is now 1 for 3, 1 for 4.
They got to improve in that part of the game. They know it. The only way you can do it is get in the gym and shoot them.
Fagan gets the rebound out there with Raven Johnson. Watkins underneath was alone for a second or two, but they couldn't get it to her in time. Now she wants it. Not hit. And it's another one on Talia Weish.
Well, is that 5?
Yep.
Yeah, I know Danae McNeil is going to be disappointed in her individual performance today. She's from South Carolina. I talked to her before the game. She said South Carolina did recruit her, offered her in 8th grade is what she told me. She hasn't shot it well. She's been in foul trouble all game, and she's their leading scorer, just south of 20 points a game.
Watkins hits her first free throw. Talia over on the bench after fouling out. Remember, Cardoso not in the game, so that big 6'7" presence isn't underneath. Watkins with some contact. And now she is fouled out of the game. Ashlyn Watkins leaves with 11 points and 5 rebounds.
Because of the versatility of the way South Carolina can play at different speeds, different tempos, they can absorb foul trouble. That's why don't be surprised if you see Dawn Staley leave players in with 2 fouls this year, especially if there's good rhythm and good connectivity on the offensive end. You got a lot of depth over there.
Coming up next on ESPN2, men's college basketball. It's a doubleheader. First, Virginia Tech has won 4 in a row. They'll take on Wake, and then the all-Kansas battle between the #2 Jayhawks and Wichita State coming up today.
Wake Forest and Steve Forbes as a team that I think will challenge for the ACC crown this year. A lot of people think I'm out of my mind saying that, but Efton Reed got eligible, and he gives them a 7-foot presence at the rim. I think they'll have something to say about who wins the league.
All right, we'll see. Wake Forest coming up next.
And then there's one of the best teachers in the game in Mike Young for Virginia Tech. You want to see good offense? You talk about cutting team that moves the ball well. That's what you see out of Virginia Tech.
Dawn Staley getting some of her bench players. Extended time. That is a monstrous block by Fagan. Her second of the game. And that traveled quite a bit.
I mean, what? Wow. This is what I call three-level defense. Good ball pressure, and if you get beat, don't foul, because you got help on the backside.
Johnson comes away with it. South Carolina now with 7 blocks on the game. And coast-to-coast work for Raven Johnson. Just her second basket of the game. South Carolina leading the country, averaging just under 10 blocks per game. Just seven so far in this one. That's a push. Sakima Walker called for the foul. First year at South Carolina. Started her career at Rutgers, then went to Northwest Florida State, now stopping off in Columbia.
I love how hard Dawn Staley's team is competing, even with the score at this point, right? And, you know, you play hard, you knock somebody down, pick them up. That's it. No words need to be spoken. And you know, there was some chippiness earlier in the year in the North Carolina and the Duke games. And I listened to Dawn in one of her post-practice interviews say she cleaned it up, right? She said, that's not who we are. This is a swaggy, classy group right here. We're going to play hard. We're going to compete hard. But we're going to stick to our business and keep our focus where it needs to be. And since then, you don't see any funny business, right? They're all business. I've seen a couple of players get knocked down and get helped up by South Carolina players today.
Fagan inside to Walker. Her turn to shoot free throws. Maybe you're next. You can hit some free throws.
I can make free throws. I can make some free throws. I don't want to embarrass any of the players and tell them what my percentage is for my fundraiser, so I'll let it go.
Outstanding. That foul on Gordon. Fagan and Johnson go out. Gets in Fulwiley back in. Boy, it's a revolving door of talent for South Carolina, who are about to take their 29th and 30th free throws. And we called out South Carolina for free throw. East Carolina not good at the free throw line today. The Pirates 8 of 19 from the line, just 42%. South Carolina also struggling. Kitts with the rebound. Jaw with the trap on her. Fulwiley, Jaw, fires it up. Rebound taken down by Joyner.
You know, you try to trap them, and they have so much size, they just throw over the top of the trap.
Maya Joyner has not scored in this second half. She's 5 of 9 from the floor with 10 points in the first half. Had some leg cramps that right at the beginning of the third quarter where she had to sit for a while, and she is scoreless in this second half.
You know, she's really worked hard on her mental and her emotional game and staying tight with her actions on the court because they need her. I mean, they could, with Danae McNeil, if she's having her average and playing a better game, and she's just way off tonight, way off.
Kitts rescued.
And being from South Carolina, you know, we did ask Kim McNeil, the head coach at East Carolina, if she was concerned about Danae being a little more hyped up than normal. She said maybe.
Yeah. But she didn't want her to try to prove too much. McNeil is a transfer from Clemson, from Swansea, South Carolina. This is her third year in Greenville, first team all-conference and defensive player of the year and most improved last year. But yeah, you're right, this is not the Danae McNeil we're used to seeing. South Carolina took a bus here from Columbia. It was about 4 hours. That's long.
That's not long.
That's way too long.
No way. We used to bus from Raleigh to Atlanta.
Some of the players I saw yesterday were saying that was a long trip.
They probably had sleep beds and internet and everything else. They don't ride like the old trailways like we used to.
But a lot of the
custom bus.
A lot of fans have come up from Columbia, but a good showing for the East Carolina fans as well, because South Carolina seems like wherever they go, they're going to have fans in the stands.
I mean, what is it, 11 straight years they've led the nation in attendance? Oh, I wonder if Coach Mulkey would like to take a look at.
It's got the sparkles.
Had the same colors.
50th year of women's college basketball for South Carolina. You mentioned they will play at sparkly Baton Rouge, an ESPN game, January 25th. That's a Thursday night. And then February 11th, that's a Sunday afternoon on ESPN, home to UConn, and that game's already sold out.
That's always big.
UConn with the game against Marquette today. We mentioned, I mean, this is a great day for women's basketball. USC, UCLA, Pauley is sold out for
awesome.
that game.
That'll be fun. I mean, the city of LA is definitely a buzz. As you see, Walker pick up the foul. I think East Carolina is going to have to, you know, just get tighter with their sets, right? Their execution has to be sharper. They've got to move and cut harder. Details inside of what they have. They got to find better shots.
Hit some free throws.
Maybe that.
But this is the biggest test a team can get right now, is taking on South Carolina. And already shorthanded, down a starter, lost another one 5 minutes in.
I will say, since Coach McNeil called that timeout in the beginning of the third quarter, they have played harder.
Jaw. Her first bucket, the freshman from Alexandria, Virginia. Right outside of Washington, D.C. Another DMVer. As we approach 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, East Carolina going to start its American Conference schedule very soon. As the new year turns. Shot clock, very skinny. And then Walker got her hand on the ball to prohibit a shot. Just under 5 minutes left to go. South Carolina in control. Thank you, Zubin. Yeah, Michigan and Ohio State. We had Michigan, Florida last week, and Michigan did not look good.
They didn't shoot it well. They didn't play well. That's an impressive job for them to turn it around after the break.
Yeah, especially against Ohio State.
Right.
Team, their arch rival, and Ohio State ranked.
It'd be a tough loss for the Buckeyes on the road.
And J.C. Sheldon having a great year. His career is winding down. Great two-way player for the Buckeyes, but Michigan playing very well. Meanwhile, South Carolina well in control of this game. East Carolina has not hit a field goal in this quarter. And how about South Carolina has taken more free throws, 32 free throw attempts, than East Carolina has points.
It's crazy, right? That's amazing. That's how much pressure their front line puts on you defensively. I mean, they get after it. And they post up hard, they defend hard. They put a lot of pressure on your front line depth.
Jaw called for the foul on Kamilla Jenkins.
So Pam, how about on the bus ride home for South Carolina? Top 5 holiday movies to watch. What's your first choice?
Well, I don't know if they would like our first choices.
I like Elf.
Elf's the best.
That's the best one. How about Christmas Vacation? You watch any of those? Home Alone? It's a Wonderful Life?
That's a good one.
Like, how about Bad Moms Christmas?
That's Alistair Sim Christmas Carol 1951 is the best one ever done. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, it was a remake a couple years ago that was excellent. There's so many choices, but they're kids. South Carolina gonna get on that bus, and Dawn Staley's gonna have a lot for them to work on next time they have a practice. She's got her bench players in now in the closing 3 minutes and change of this game. Their next game will be January 4th at Florida, then home to Mississippi State. And it was interesting because we talked to Coach Staley before the game, and you said it seems like at times South Carolina has no weaknesses, and her response was, come to practice.
Right. Well, that's what she said, and it was basically, it wound down to decision making, boxing out, being better at their details. They do turn the ball over a little bit, but East Carolina came into the game #1 in the country in turnovers. They forced 28 a game. Well, you knew South Carolina wasn't going to turn it over that much. Oh, there's a block of that move that Fulwiley likes.
Yeah. Finally thwarted, but then another almost compulsory foul is called underneath.
And it's not so much the move, it's the reaction after. Like, okay, she stays with the play,
Yep.
right? And goes to the free throw line.
Goes behind the back. Fulwiley at the free throw line. Coming up next Sunday afternoon, January 7th, a triple header for women's basketball. South Carolina taking on Mississippi State, then LSU is at Ole Miss. In South Bend, it's North Carolina, Notre Dame. All that coming up a week from Sunday. I'll be in South Bend for that one. Yale Ivy, boy, what a job they're doing.
Yep.
No Sonia Citron and no Olivia Miles.
Yeah. I mean, how about Hannah Hidalgo?
Oh my goodness. Doing some things.
She could be in the running for ACC Player of the Year right now, along with Georgia Amore at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, not just freshman of the year, player of the year.
Right. It's interesting in the ACC, that's how good the guard play is in that league. Last year was Tanaya Latson who led the league in scoring. This year it's another freshman. There are really good guards in that league.
East Carolina is 3 for 30 from the floor in this half. Good tie up. Underneath, ball stays with South Carolina. Another double-double, by the way, today for Kamilla Cardoso. 12 points, 10 rebounds for South Carolina. Another bucket. Fulwiley also has a dozen points.
Vega's got a smooth low post move. I mean, that's just another big body at 6'3". All the post players for South Carolina are shooting better than 50%.
That's scary.
Only 2 players on their whole roster are shooting less than 50.
Scarier. Fagan knocking on the door of double figures with 9 points. Good defense by Miller to get her hands in the lane, but it still results in a bucket for Jaw.
Jaw is helping her field goal percentage today.
She's 2 for 4, and there's a finish for Mosley. Well, Wiley thought about it, but why do that when you can go under the basket? Wide open shot, still can't get it to go. And the three for number 3, Gordon. And second three of the game. Just too much South Carolina. For the third straight year, South Carolina goes to 12-0. Last year, 36-0 before they lost in the national semis to Caitlin Clark and Iowa. East Carolina has a 5-game winning streak snapped. They fall to 7-4 and take on Texas San Antonio in their next game.
On the road, on the bus, all positives. Dawn Staley will have some good film to break down, shake off the Christmas cookie rust. Get back at it, back at it.
And that's what it's all about, grinding it out as we hit the new year. East Carolina, by the way, will play at South Carolina next year. Should be a great experience for these players, these terrific fans. I think that was a foul they let go for once.
Or what I like to call a coach's assist that would count as an assist if you made the layup.
And the South Carolina Gamecocks, after a slow start, take it by the final of 73-36. Much respect between Dawn Staley and Kim McNeil. The #1 Gamecocks remain unbeaten. So South Carolina takes it 73-36 for Deb Antonelli and our entire crew. I'm Pam Ward as we say so long. Let's go to the other part of the state. Winston-Salem, men's basketball, Virginia Tech and Wake.